So anyway, to begin, so my name is Alex Levitt. I'm a PhD student. I go to the Annenberg School for Communication down in Los Angeles at the University of Southern California. And I basically study the internet in all its glory. And frequently it does look like this, where I'm just kind of some old dude writing a research paper. But it's a lot of fun, because the internet is awesome, right? And of course, one of the things that is on the internet is Minecraft. So today I'm going to talk not necessarily about the game, but more about what game culture is, and how Minecraft really influences how we think about game culture and how we live game culture. And Minecraft is a really interesting example of this, because the internet is so influential to Minecraft's success. So normally when we think about game culture, it kind of is constituted in these examples. And it ranges from like Leroy Jenkins to crazy Nintendo Wii accidents to the Power Glove, and then like one-legged DDR. But then we also have things that are slowly becoming game culture, like this.
Hi guys, just a video here. I've been getting some questions on how to make indefinite fire for your house or something like that, or a castle, whatever it is that you want to add some kind of fancy effect to. This is my house here, as you can see. Me and Diz have been working on this one. Diz is currently not available. I think he's off in bed or something, maybe. So he gave me a hand with this just before he left. We got it pretty sweet. But we think it needs a fire as well. So let's go ahead and just make like a fireplace. We've already made it, as you see. It's intact here. That's the swimming pool. So yeah, apparently all you need is some flint and a log, just to chop down a tree bit of log. All you do is you put it in the center here like this, and then set a fire to it. Now not always, but most of crap. Sorry guys, this is not supposed to happen. Crap, oh no way. Yeah. What the hell just happened? You have got to be kidding me. This is not even funny. Seriously? Oh my god. I don't understand what happened. I thought I lit a log. Or yeah, I lit a log in here. Oh crap. Yeah. That's all for now, guys.
So this is a great example of game culture, right? It's games, but it's also the experience we have around and in games. So the emotional connection that we have with the things we build and the things that we accidentally destroy. So I'm coming at Minecraft from like a communications and like a media studies perspective, and I started a research project on Minecraft earlier this year. And I was really looking into three main things. First is the popularity of the game. Like, why is it just so popular, and how did it get popular so quickly?
Because it's awesome.
It is awesome, but there are other reasons. Second is the community, or even if we can call it a community. And then the third is the interesting development of the game, because it's an indie game that got popular really quick, and it's still not finished, right? So that's kind of weird. So to actually dive into these topics a little bit, here's what I'm really going to be talking about. The first is the networks of players that really influence the game. The second is the platforms and these online spaces that we inhabit to kind of push game culture out to other people. And then finally, this concept of like open source. And I'll explain what that means and why there are quotes around it later. But yeah, so I started this research project, and you can find more about it at Minecraft PhD, which is at this URL. If you can't see it, I'll put it up later. It's just tinyurl.com/MinecraftPhD. And so I've been doing some interesting things. Like a couple weeks ago, I did a questionnaire. I put it out for 1 week and got a surprisingly quick amount of responses, which was like 3,500. Not surprisingly, it was about 90% male. But at the same time, the survey wasn't like really representative of Minecraft players, so I can't necessarily be like, oh, all 90% of players are male. But it is a really interesting way to look at how practices kind of like are embedded in the player network. And I looked at things like Reddit and Twitter, podcast users, people who are really engaged with the Minecraft community. And I'm really hoping to do later some interviews with like fans, modders, and the development team. So there is kind of like a disclaimer, of course. Basically, everyone here, and I learned this at PAX East, and I kind of explained this a little bit before, you guys know a lot about Minecraft already, which I didn't realize at the very first time I did this. So I was like explaining all the basics, like how you build stuff, and people were just like, oh man, this sucks. We want like just to watch videos and crap. So I don't think I necessarily have to explain who Notch is. I assume you guys all know that. Really the origins of Minecraft. So for those who don't know, it started with this game called Infiniminer that he was looking into. It had the same kind of blocky structure. And Notch was really influenced by things like Roller Coaster Tycoon and Dwarf Fortress. And I really don't have to explain what you do in Minecraft, like build these crazy giant objects. But I really also don't think I need to explain the experience of Minecraft, because this is really everyone's experience, right? You enter the world, you have no idea what you do, you realize you can punch a tree, and then the world just blows up in your head. And Ben Croshaw, who you guys probably know as Yahtzee, also really nails it on the head with this review.
But as I was trying to think of something to do with all these rocks, I noticed a nearby mountain and thought, you know what that's crying out for? A skull fortress with flaming towers and eyes that weep lava flows because he's depressed by all the kamikaze shrubs. So I started flattening out a nice courtyard, and the next thing I knew, 9 hours had passed and I was picking out wallpaper for the banqueting hall.
So it's really easy to get addicted to this game, right? Even though one interesting thing that came out of the questionnaire is that a lot of people only reported 1 to 3 hours of playing per sitting. So I don't know if people are lying about that. But again, so I'm going to try to explain why these three things, networks, platforms, and this concept of open source, are really important to the future of game culture. And I'm going to use Minecraft basically as my example today. So let's start with networks. Our basic knowledge of Minecraft is that it just got really popular really, really quickly. And in a sense, like you could call this that it like went viral. It's kind of like common internet parlance. But its popularity was really scary. And you know something's really popular when it gets more popular than God in Google search terms. And you can see this happen just at the end of 2010, which is really important to keep in mind. And you'll notice that the blue line up there, which is the one for Minecraft, it only really started at the beginning of 2010. So we're only talking about a span of like a year and a half. So the development of Minecraft was really interesting about a couple months into last year, so like the fall of 2010. Because so many people were buying it so quickly. So for example, on September 22nd, 2010, Notch sold almost 26,000 copies of the game in less than 24 hours, which is insane for an indie game. And he was making, quote unquote, $250,000 a day, which is awesome, but also really insane, right? And so he said things like, I didn't really know how the sales numbers would progress. There really weren't any games to compare it with. So was it just a fad? But the interesting thing, though, is that it's a worldwide phenomenon. So like we're at PAX Prime, and we're really thinking in kind of like a US-centric view. But if you look at how many people are really interested in Minecraft, just like from Google searches, for example, you'll see that it's all over the world. So like Norway, Australia, Denmark have the highest ones. Sweden, of course, is up there for obvious reasons. And then like United States is only 8th. So it's become a really worldwide phenomenon. But the importance is really that people participate, right? So we have like a community in kind of this like vague terms, but I kind of want to push back against that a little bit. There's a lot of online participation, and that's kind of like why Time named you as the person of the year in 2006, because YouTube was wicked popular, and people were just putting thousands and thousands of hours of content online. But it's kind of difficult to necessarily call it a community, because we're talking about a very global phenomenon where the different types of things that people do and who they are vary very widely. We're talking about people who just play the game, to people who participate in forums, people who go all the way to making videos and creating mods. So when we think about like what is a community, we're really talking more about like what a network of players is that revolves around all this user-generated content. So it's this network that's built around these digital objects that we put online that relate to Minecraft, like wikis and videos and servers. And it's these kind of digital artifacts that solidify the network of people more so than like personal relationships, like playing with some friends on Xbox Live. So if we want to delve a little bit into that concept of a network, we can really look at the importance of online spaces where this network, quote unquote, of players participate. So I think that this story from Penny Arcade illustrates an interesting example. So Gabe's son basically never used a walkthrough when he was playing Minecraft. He was just like figuring it out by himself, learning all the recipes. And then he asked his dad, well, where can I go to find more recipes? And his dad introduced him to the Minecraft wiki, and the kid's mind was blown. Just like, oh my god, there's all this information out there. And then he found YouTube, and his world was just completely destroyed because he was able to figure out all these cool recipes to build and all these cool like walkthroughs that he could watch. And it's really interesting how these spaces influence our understanding of the game. But it's really important that they were only created by this kind of like very loose network of players working together to organize information about the game rather than just playing to socialize. So if we look at practices that emerge from all these players, information sharing is a very huge one. So we have websites like Minecraft Wiki, but this is very, very different from old ways of information sharing, such as through things like Nintendo Power and other gaming magazines, where you can't just go online and get all this information. It was very like a top-down approach, where you have a small number of people producing all the information about the game that you then circulate amongst your friends. And this information sharing is becoming really, really big. So using wikis is nothing new. But for example, in 2010, Fallout New Vegas was released. And in 1 week, 2.5 million users built this wiki around the game. And thousands of hours. You can see that in a week, over 75,000 hours were clocked building information into this wiki so that people could like figure out the game. And the same thing has happened for many other games. So World of Warcraft, for example, it has 5 million page views per day just for information about the game. And there are other spaces online too. So like Reddit is a really cool example of a game culture network. You have all these people coming together to share information, to share funny pictures, to share videos of things they built. And the community really forms in this one space around a network of users that come together just to kind of talk to each other in a small group. And so we have a large network of users that are forming spaces on things like Reddit, in communities like YouTube, on forums, in podcast fans. And so Minecraft has this expansive network, but that's not really the reason why it was successful, right? It's really the originality of the game. So Peter Molyneux, who you might know as a game designer for Fable, for example, he said that one of the greatest innovations I've seen in gaming in the past 10 years is Minecraft. It breaks all the rules of a game. It's got a very hard learning curve at the start. There's no leveling up. There's no mission structure. There's no experience. And there's very few measurable things in there. And it's hugely successful. And that's really because of the originality of the game. People really talked about it a lot. And one interesting thing that came out of the survey I did is that about a third of the people heard about the game just from talking to other friends. And interestingly enough, and I'll mention this later, about another third learned about the game just through online videos. So the important thing is that the visibility of the game really increased by having this large network of players that were connected through things like Reddit or things like YouTube. And if we think about what multiplayer is per se, normally we might think about servers, so it kind of creates a little community around Minecraft, but it's really the network of players that is much larger and much more influential. So let's go into platforms. So I already talked a little bit about Reddit, and I'm going to mention Twitter a bit later, but I really want to deep dive into the role that platforms play and online spaces play for creating and sharing digital objects, which create that network that I mentioned. And the obvious big example is YouTube. So YouTube as a social platform is really interesting, because if you just type in Minecraft, you have all of these sorts of videos that appear. If you do a really basic search, you get pretty much a lot of the top hits that have the most views. So a basic search gives you trailers and episodes for podcasts, certain games that you can play in Minecraft, exploration of mods, etc. And all sorts of videos help popularize the game. So for example, a lot of you might have seen this video. Oops. No, go back. There we go.
Hi there, everybody. This is Halcoon, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how I really don't play Minecraft like other people. Now, first thing you're going to notice is I'm kind of staring at a corner of a very, very deep well, and it's made out of bedrock, and it's very, very high, and I'm sure you're probably thinking, why Halcoon? That is a very, very deep well, and I'm going to show you the reason why. It is currently holding this. This is a 1-to-1 scale model of the Starship Enterprise. I just got finished putting the framework together. I haven't slept yet, so I'm going to be a little loopy as I show you what I got here. So you can see there's some scaffolding still up there. So why don't we take a walk, shall we?
So there are lots and lots of examples of these videos. And here's another example. These are just tours that people do. They'll build a house, and they'll be like, look at my house for an hour. And I decided to put this one block here for a very specific reason. And I really like the video on the right, because the guy's like, I have a cold, and this video is going to suck, but I'm going to make it anyway. But as I said before, surprisingly, about a third of the people that I talked to through the questionnaire said that they first heard about Minecraft just through videos on YouTube and other video sharing sites. But these videos really help to popularize the game. And there are other videos that also help us explore the game on more of an entertainment level, right? Rather than an informational level. So a great example of that is C-Nanners. He's this kind of machinima celebrity. And he does this wonderful series of what's called Let's Play, which kind of just demonstrate what he does in Minecraft, kind of exploring the thing, and it's very hilarious.
All right, let's try this again. Are you guys ready to party? I am so ready to party. All right.
So he's going into the Nether for the first time.
This door is creepy. Shut your face, door. Yeah. I need some catchy action phrase it's time to cool off, hell world. Oh God, hello. What the crap? What the crap? Oh my God. What the? You broke my door. You son of a bitch. Oh my God. I'm so screwed. Oh my God. Oh God. Help me. I immediately regret this decision. Oh my God. Wow. I have nothing to say other than I don't want to go back there ever again.
So basically, YouTube acts as this kind of video game commentary center. And video game commentary has emerged on YouTube as this really important genre, because there are thousands of videos that you can go and look at for many, many different types of games. So there are things like solutions and walkthroughs, to even secret parts of interesting games, like the WoW thing I have up there, exploring a place that you're really not supposed to be. And the key is that all of this is user-generated content, and it's mostly recorded from PC games, right? So you have a really simple editor that you can probably get for free, and it's just you playing the game and uploading it to YouTube, and then thousands of people are doing the same thing. So for Minecraft, participation on YouTube plays a huge role, and players really see it as a key space for Minecraft-related work. So Minecraft exploded on YouTube in late 2010, and when I was just kind of exploring the videos, there were about 4,000 videos in 2010. And Minecraft really started getting popular a few months into it. So soon it started growing a little bit. So to September, we had about 14,000. By October, we had about 40,000. And then by November, we had about 400,000. And these are just kind of like generic numbers of me typing in Minecraft and seeing how many results pop up. So that's kind of debatable. But then in March 2011, we had over 800,000. And only a couple days ago, we had over 1.9 million videos about Minecraft on YouTube. All right. So YouTube videos are really a popular means of expression within the Minecraft network. And if we kind of explore more about how YouTube structures participation for Minecraft, we can just look at a basic YouTube page. It has the kind of type of videos that are related to it, the number of hits that the video gets, and then of course the comment section and links and stuff like that. And the key is that each of these sections represents a really important piece to how players absorb Minecraft. So, for example, the related sections, the related videos section shapes how we understand the ecosystem of Minecraft videos. So, for example, this might just show all tutorials, and that might just be what we understand. But then there are all these other videos that we might never understand beyond that. The comments also act as this kind of like unifying space for comedy and cultural references that really solidify this kind of like in-group of players and solidify what a community would mean for Minecraft. So for example, like if you can't really see it, but the first one says, I use my flint and steel, haha. But you wouldn't really know that flint and steel was an item in Minecraft unless you played the game. And it's really interesting what themes emerge from YouTube. So if you look at the kind of filter that they give you at the very top, it gives you a very distinct map of what videos look like. So there are things like Survival Island, which is a mod, the term minecart, which is probably instructions for a lot of videos trying to build minecart tracks. Software release is really interesting because there are a lot of videos just dedicated to peripheral info about installing mods and installing the game and editing it. Terraria is this Minecraft-esque 2D platformer. So a lot of the videos relate to things that are kind of like Minecraft, but not really, but that the fans of Minecraft still like a lot. Lots of stuff about instructions, more mods. There's also this interesting thing up there that says, try nitro Toluene, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, I've never seen that word before. And I honestly had to look that up, but it's the word for TNT, which makes sense because there are a lot of videos that use TNT in Minecraft and just blow things up. And then, of course, machinima.com, which is a huge community for gamers that you can just make videos about certain games and kind of play around with art assets. So what does YouTube mean for the Minecraft phenomenon? If we look at the spectrum of videos, like, what themes can we pull out from them? And what are people most interested in, quote unquote? So the top videos that appear are things like podcasts and mods and the Let's Play genre that I mentioned before, where people just record what they're doing and go on adventures and people watch it and bump up the views. Lots and lots of fan creations like the last Minecart, which is this kind of like live action Minecraft parody. And there are other parodies like Minecraft music, and of course creative displays where people just build stuff and they're like, look at this crazy like giant spaceship that I built. And then there's also the low amount of videos that are very important too. And all the videos that get like less than 1,000 hits, they really shape the rest of the video ecosystem for Minecraft. So what most of the videos are that people create that are really making up this ecosystem are the ones that have like 36 views, like minecart redstone display programmable lock, or this one that has 1,200 views that's like an example of someone building a door. And all these videos are out there, but they really help shape how we approach Minecraft and how we understand it even deeper. And so these platforms like YouTube create and expand and really unify the player network around Minecraft. And the videos act as markers where cultural participation can really be found. But these videos really shape how we perceive Minecraft and its players. So point 3, this concept of open source. So if you don't know what open source is, it might go back to Richard Stallman in the late 90s, where basically open source development around software was putting the code out there so that people could edit it, but also kind of improve it over time. And the large amount of people connected to the internet would all come together to work out these problems. And so there's a history in free software, not necessarily no-cost software, but things that were freely available so that you could play around with the code and edit it. But one interesting thing that I've noticed over the past few years is that a lot of media companies are embracing this thing, which I call open source culture. And basically what I'm talking about is media franchises that are built around user-generated content that frequently put aside copyright limitations on creative input. So basically, for example, using Minecraft, Notch is just kind of like, yeah, I'll let the fans do what they want with the Minecraft world, with the characters, with videos, fan art. As long as you're not breaking too many rules or too many laws, it's pretty good. But for the most part, I'm just going to let you kind of do what you want with the franchise. And players become a huge and influential component in the development of the game because of that. So for example, Notch uses Twitter a lot. And basically, he has a network of millions and millions of playtesters. And they're very helpful for figuring out the game if it has bugs. So Notch is just tweeting out, let me know how this beta version is. And people just text him millions of tweets. And then there are also examples where, for example, Jeb, who's one of the devs for Minecraft, he just puts out a tweet that says, do you have any inspirational images that you can send me so that I can build some more stuff for a new release? And the larger example of this mass participation in the development of the game is really around mods. So if you don't know what a mod is, basically it's kind of like taking the code of the game and then modding it, or modifying it so that it creates something new, but still using basically the elements of the game. And Minecraft's modding community is huge. So from my questionnaire, only about 20% of the people said they had never played a mod before. So that's 80% of people who have at least tried one. And there are thousands and thousands of mods, and you can find them on a bunch of different websites. The best example to go to is probably the Minecraft forums, where they have a mod listing, and people update all the time there. And so all these mods do all sorts of things. So they edit in-game elements like maps, inventories, player experiences, but they also extend the game beyond it for things like new modes of playing, like adventure style, new worlds that you can explore, new enemies, new items, and stuff like that. But modding really doesn't occur like that normally in terms of the game extensions. So when we think about modding, it kind of looks like this. This is kind of this is the ordinary spectrum. The first is that you have things like StarCraft mods, which are really using elements from the game to affect gameplay. So you can add things like, you can add StarCraft 2 units to the original StarCraft and stuff like that. And then the other end of the spectrum is the kind of creative sandbox version. So Gary's mod is a great example of this, where basically you can create all these videos and machinima style stuff using game elements and just mashing them together. So like Mario and a T-Rex from some game. But Minecraft is really interesting because the modding community mods within the game, but kind of extending it further than just playing with the mechanics and the gamescape. So for example, here's Mo Creatures. So this adds new animals and monsters to the game very easily. So you can have things like a shark, or a werewolf, or a troll, or a bunny. The bunnies are adorable. And it also kind of plays with the limitations of the game and expands the experience by adding these small elements. So here's, for example, there's a Pegasus that you can ride to fly around Minecraft. So that was a lot better than just walking.
It's a pain to tame them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so I interviewed Dr. Zark, who created the Mo Creatures mod. And I did this back this spring. And he said that around March 2011, the mod had been downloaded over 99,000 times, which is really crazy. And the forum thread that he had on the Minecraft forums had over 1 million views and over 450 pages. And I went a couple days ago, and it actually has over 12,000 pages now. Oh, sorry, 1,200 pages. But the mod has been downloaded a ton of times. People use this a lot. And it's probably been downloaded more than that with only the past 6 months since I did this interview. But he says that he never dreamed that this was going to happen, that so many people would be interested in this kind of like tiny side project that he had. And it really encouraged him to keep working on the mod and add more and more features over time. And there are other really interesting mods that have gotten a lot of popularity recently. For example, the Ether mod. So this is developed by a team of people instead of just one person. And basically it creates a new sky world for Minecraft. So there are new enemies, there's a new way to get there, kind of like how you enter the Nether. And it creates these gigantic new dungeons with these really cool bosses. So here's a little explanation.
Hello and welcome to the Yogscast. Today we're looking at the Ether mod, which has just come out, and I'm playing it. I'm here in defending Verrigan's Hold. There's loads of creepers up there. How are you doing, Simon?
I'm doing alright. What on earth is this? What is this?
Okay, this is the Ether portal. You make it like the Nether portal, except with glowstone, and then you pour a bucket of water in there instead of lighting it on fire, and it takes you to the Ether. Okay?
Oh my god, everything's pastel-y and
Floaty.
what are those things floating around?
Right. Yeah, there's a couple of things floating around, as you can see.
Yeah, I can't help but notice them.
And I'm already being like attacked by them. They lob snowballs.
Oh, snowballs?
Or
I thought
eggs.
it was eggs.
Whatever. That whenever they hit you, they actually knock you though. So I'm quickly trying to get out of their way. This thing, I have no idea what it did, but it flew me up in the air.
You're nearly dead. Oh my god, be careful. Be careful.
So I've just gone through the portal.
Eat the pork.
I'm nearly dead. But I've got my preparations. You see, I've got pork. I've got like swords and armor. That's just a sheep there.
Is that a floating sheep?
Yeah. It's an ether sheep just chilling out in midair.
Ether sheep.
Yeah, this is a brand new mob, part of the ether expansion.
It's just a fat
drops-
sheep that floats.
It drops wool.
Wow, it drops wool. Is that a plane?
So
What's that?
no, that's a whale, and like it's a whale, but it's kind of spazzing into
of course it is.
the.
Of course, it's a whale.
Yeah, and space whale, like air whale, sky whale, whatever.
So you kind of understand what's going on. But a large amount of these mods are very, very popular. So you can see, for example, I picked out a few from the forums, like the Millénaire, the NPC Village mod. There's a recipe book that you can update, and then single-player commands and stuff like that. And all of these mods have over 1 million views. So, for example, the recipe book one has close to 3.5 million.
Actually, that page is all of his mods, including mod loader, which all mods require.
Yeah. And so they get thousands and thousands of replies over time, which is really, really interesting. And the fact that they're continually updated alongside Minecraft is also really new for game culture. So all this occurs because a small team of coders released this thing called the Minecraft Coder Pack. And basically what happens is that when Notch releases the code as the game, he obfuscates it. So basically that means it's kind of like all jumbled up and you can't really read it. But this team of coders goes in, they decompile it so that they basically release it opened. And then that allows you to re-obfuscate it to code for the development of the game. So basically it helps release the code to the community, because while there's kind of modding support and Notch has said that he's going to add it, it's not super, super easy. So this team of people helps the modders develop the game. And that was how Dr. Zark was able to create Mo creatures. But also, there are mods that don't necessarily have to do with editing the code. So for example, these are kind of like non-traditional mods. This is what I mentioned before, Survival Island, where basically you have to just build with what you have on this tiny island and survive over time. And this was created very easily by someone just creating a map, and it has kind of like implicit mechanics, so it doesn't force you to just use this, but you're kind of like suggested to. But they just allow you to get this map, and you can download it, and then you just play the map. And it's very, very easy for people who don't have to like go in and mess with the code of their game and stuff like that. But it's not really an issue of recoding. It's just you create a map and people install it. Very easy. And Survival Island is just one of many, many very simple mods that people have created. And modding really allows players to extend the game in any way that they wish. So from the questionnaire, I was asking about modding practices and what people thought about it. And so one male player said that it's in the nature of indie games. The development of such an amazing game shouldn't be left to just the Mojang team. A lot of mod makers have ideas that Mojang would most likely never think of. So for example, I believe that the Ether region, which I mentioned before, greatly surpasses the Nether implemented in the original version of the game. But there are lots of great ideas in the Ether mod that I think that Mojang could build from, and they could possibly use some of the elements to make the Nether much better. So a lot of people think that these mods are actually very, very beneficial to the modding community and Minecraft players at large. And mods really show the complexity of what fans wish Minecraft could be. So right now, like, Minecraft is a fairly simple game, right? You can't build like all the items in the world that you would want to. And mods allow people to kind of crack open that simplicity that Notch has had, even though that's awesome. I really like that simplicity. And here and there, like, some of the complexity of these mods might be ruining the game a little bit. Like, that's debatable. But the fact that you are able to modify it and create these new experiences is very important. So here's another positive reaction to mods from a female player on the questionnaire. She says, one person or a few can come up with something that makes the Minecraft experience more fun, and then they share that idea. And that's how all these mods start. It means that they have endless possibilities. And the endless possibilities is, of course, really important. You have one game that hasn't even been completed yet, and yet you have all these other games that emerge from it. And Notch, as I said before, has proposed an official mod development implemented into the game. So he says that, like, we're going to have mod developers, and it's going to require you to sign an agreement and all this awesome stuff. But then he said, when he originally posted this blog post, that people were going to have to pay for it, and the community went nuts. So you'll see this edit that it says, he crossed out "this will cost money," and it says, edit, "no longer costs money," because so many people push back against it. But there's also a tension to let fans really develop and let Mojang control production, right? So people want to be able to do it, but people also want a real game. And of course, players have dissenting opinions about mods. So for instance, this player says, "I'm not sure about an open source code would make it easier to mod. I think ultimately it'd cause problems with so many different ideas that would be implemented. Like, clients wouldn't match and piracy would get worse. Mods could be done without the source code. They just require a little more effort." And there are other hesitant reactions to modding, such as this. It says modders should be serious about modding, and small costs make it so that only the serious modders will use it. So it's kind of like weeding out, and there's this inherent authenticity to what makes a good mod versus a bad mod. And then issues of security too. So if Mojang is going to spend a little time and energy on it, I think users should pay a little extra. Plus, the money acts as a filtering mechanism to get all the bad mods out. And of course, there's an inherent tension to this too, right? Between creative and survival. So right now with Minecraft, we have this creative mode where you can kind of build whatever you want, and this survival mode where you can kind of go on an adventure, but it's kind of not, right? And that's really why Notch is creating the new update so that we can have an adventure mode. But why are mods so successful for Minecraft? And it's really that conflict with the development of the game, because it's not quite complete, and players feel like they need to expand upon it in reaction to this kind of like slow development, even though it's an indie game, so we can kind of make that as an excuse. But why is open source culture important? And it's really because of this kind of free-to-play fallacy, at least from my perspective. So in the open source culture trend, we have this development that basically lots and lots of people can participate in, And then there's this ladder where it's top-down production from a video game company, and you can kind of play for free, but then you're limited with what you can do later. So for Minecraft, you pay a set fee at the very beginning, and then everything is free afterwards, and it's really expansive. But in these kind of free-to-play models, we have games that it's very approachable, so you can just dive into the game immediately and have lots of fun with people. But then once you kind of get bored of it, all you get is hats, right? And there are some games that are kind of tweaking that a little bit. So like Guild Wars 2, for example, doesn't have a subscription, but you have to buy episodes to kind of expand the game later on. But what I'm saying is that the future of game culture is really this opportunity for people to participate in the game as much as possible. So Minecraft is a really great example of that. So the conclusion. As I said before, games have really traditionally been thought of as these kind of top-down experiences. So players only get to play the game. They have no interaction with the game besides that. And there's been a lot of talk recently about how games can change the real world and impact our lives. The obvious example of that would be from Jane McGonigal. She has this great book, Reality is Broken, where she gives all these examples about how games really affect our real world. And she did a great keynote at PAX East back in the spring. But Minecraft has this amazing high level of participation on the part of players. And I think that that is the future, massive participation. So even though we have like all these crazy things like a giant piano that might not matter for people, it really influences how people perceive the game and then interact with it later, especially with other players. But then there's this kind of warning, right? This change over time really affects the changes over time in game culture. So we can't forget that Minecraft is still not complete, and it's been played by millions and millions of people. This is the list of all the updates going into the next update of Minecraft, basically the adventure mode. There are a lot, and that's why the font is so small and you can't read it. But the things that are important about this is that so many updates are being put into the game that this drastically affects how Minecraft works as a game, and therefore it affects how we interact with it. And so before, one example from the update, like normally we would think of creative mode occurring on servers, and you'd like probably play with other people. And adventure mode, normally you would kind of have to do that through mods if you wanted more of like an RPG style game. But now that's totally being changed. So exploring inside the world will be way more rewarding, and combat has been changed, so that experience is very different. But as the game changes over time, so does our experience with the game, and that will affect how our game culture experience at large as well. And so we can kind of philosophize about this a little bit as well, right? So we always see this game over screen, and it never has a score. It's always like ampersand E0. Like, what does that mean, right? But what happens if that score suddenly became more meaningful? Would that change our experience of the game? And would that game over mean something completely different? So I really want to conclude with this quote. One female gamer said on mining and Minecraft as a whole, "As it stands, it's more of a framework than a finished game," which is really great. So these simple tools empower players to expand the game and create their own meaning and stories. And that's radically different from a game that has been developed traditionally. And that's really going to affect the future of game culture. So it's almost over. If you'd like to give me some feedback, feel free to hit up my email address. And that's the URL for the research project. And now it's free stuff time. But first, it appears we have a special surprise. I'd like to introduce the creator of Minecraft, Notch.
Hello. I have nothing to say, just thank you and thank you.
So I believe that he might stick around for a few minutes, but go meet him in the hallway because we have to clear out the room and bring in the next panel. So, as I said, free stuff, right? I said it might be random, but if you look under your chair, there might be a small piece of paper.
On the underside of your chair.
On the underside. It's very obvious. So if you got one of those pieces of paper, feel free to come up, and it says the prize that you won. But otherwise, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And let's give a round of applause for Minecraft. Awesome.